the whole economy is in your hand.
We do probably a billion transactions a day. Terrorist funding happens also in our part of the world or other part of the world. So that's why I think there's some restriction. But nowadays, the machine learning and AI is coming in where you can actually understand who's
I don't want to do a business in India because of taxation, because of legalities, because of
money
transferring. So I'm sure it will impact my country as well.
Yes. We are students in college in US. We all used to have $3,000, $4,000 continual debt. I'm sure maybe it happened to you while you were in college.
Definitely. Have you ever thought of coming up with your own bank?
We don't want to have a store, a physical brick-and-mortar branches, but maybe before you know, maybe in a year, you'll be a billionaire. No, it's not legal.
Yeah, it's
not legal. But people are doing it, right? It's happening.
Absolutely.
You cannot really stop.
Scams are happened.
Right.
It happens because of flaws in banking or flaws in our software.
Once they give you a pin, they can send the money. So she also, 200 are coming, so they give a pin away. Then, they take care of it.
Still, we don't have taxpayers in our country.
The hidden currents that shape our world. We investigate the quiet vulnerabilities in global finance, digital transactions, and the illusion of security. What if I told you the system has already been compromised? Tracing lines of illicit funding, from shadow banking to deep web markets. AI analysis reveals patterns. Systemic risk indicators are flashing red. The potential for disruption is not a question of if, but when.
So, welcome, Mr. Mustafa. We are sitting in London. Amazing weather and doing this podcast. I hope you are having a good time in London.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks for the invite and let me be here.
So before we proceed ahead, I want to understand what your company is and what your company do, and why you started. What is the vision of this brand?
Yeah, I studied computer science got my degree back in 90s, 93 specifically. And then I came back from US to Bangladesh, spawned out this company called Flora, primarily to look into banking technology. And at that time, it wasn't that big. The digital technology was quite, not in the upfront. But we started the journey, and initially it took us 3 years to get the first client, which is a public bank, which is called Janata Bank. So the ride was very, very interesting. A lot of challenges because we didn't have computer science major even in Bangladesh at that time. So we had to recruit guys from physics, math background and train them on technology. And then also at one point we brought in guys from India, specifically and Microsoft Consulting Services. And then we trained a lot of people on the technology, especially in client server, Microsoft technology. And then we started the actual big tech. So we are almost like 20 plus, 30 plus years in this business. Now we have 8 large banks running on us. So Army Trust Bank, Shimanta Bank, Krishi Bank, Mutual Trust Bank, and many large commercial banks runs on us.
So the whole economy is in your hand.
It's a big part of the financial transaction part. It runs on us. And if you look into the transaction size, we do probably a billion transactions a day. So that's a huge amount of transaction processing done. But we have like more than 8 large banks running on us. So also recently we got work in Sri Lanka, also in Pakistan. So it's growing. Also, we are working closely with some US banks, not closed yet, but we are actually going for the OCC compliance, which is a US standard for banking compliance.
So it's been almost 30 plus years.
Almost 30 years,
in this
yes.
industry.
Yeah.
So how you see Flora as a brand, and what is the future of this brand and vision of this
product has become very well. A lot of people think we even own banks because the branding has been so big. So we are now transforming our clients into digital transformation, digital banking. That's the future. So we are very upbeat about it.
Right. So understanding banking from a layman perspective. So when I started working, started my business back in I guess 11 years back.
Right.
So we used to work in our country only, India.
Yes.
Slowly we started expanding ourselves to different part of the world. Now we have one office in Dubai and one in India. So while understanding the banking, it was very difficult for us to taking payments from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal,
intercountry
payments. Yes. And the world is growing so fast in terms of AI. The world is growing in in a level or in a consideration, you can say we can't even think what is going to happen next 3 days or down the line in next few years as well.
Yes.
So why this problem taking money from across the world? Why we can't smoothen this process?
See, I think there's a problem, but I see also an opportunity because what happened in the Western world, whether you're in Europe or in UK or in US, transferring money is just part of technology. It's not there's no legal bar to do any transactions. But unfortunately, back in Asia, especially Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, it's not a technology issue, but it's a cross border. When you send dollars or taka, rupee or Indian INR, they try to actually control. So it's not about the technology which stopping it. It's the legalization. But interestingly, through trade and commerce, it's still running. If you do remittance via a swift messaging, that happens on the fly.
But don't you think it
but not in the personal stage, but corporates to corporates. If you have a banking account in US and you want to send money in Bangladesh, that's happening. But if you're individually a guy living in US wants to send the money to a local guy, it's not happening till. But then again, we have technology like Western Union, PayPal coming in. So through that, you can actually send money.
But don't you think that restricts the economic growth of a country?
Absolutely. It's a very good question. So I think that's where machine learning, AI comes in, because one of the things, they don't want to send money because it's KYC, know your client. So they want to know who the money is coming in, not to a terrorist or anti-money laundering issues. So those are the legal issues between cross borders. And sometimes, there are terrorist funding happens also in our part of the world or other part of the world. So that's why I think there's some restriction. But nowadays, the machine learning and AI is coming in where you can actually understand who's the money coming from, and also do a lot of due diligence on the transaction, transaction monitoring.
But when we talk about digital transactions, suppose someone is sending money from Dhaka to India, and it's a digital transfer.
True.
How can't we control it or monitor it earlier as well?
Yeah, I think in the US, it's already happening. If you're sitting in US, traveling in Bangkok, you just go to an ATM, use the ATM card, and you're getting your money. So whether it's in dollar or Thai baht, doesn't really matter. But when it comes to Bangladesh bank accounts or in India accounts, you use the ATM, it doesn't work. So because of the legality, it's not the tech issue. ATM transactions, there's a protocol called ISO 8583. So it's actually widely available both in India and in Bangladesh. Because if you look into India, you go to any ATM card, may say HDFC or ICICI banks, right? So you go to say Calcutta, but you have your account in Delhi. But you take your ATM card, put it on any ATM location in Calcutta, you can draw your INR, right? You can draw your. So that means the technology is not barring. But same card, if you go to Bangladesh, between Bangladesh and India, it's not happening. We cannot take out the money. But if I'm a US citizen traveling in Bangladesh, I can probably draw out cash.
I'll take my example. So started business back in 2008 or 2018 precisely, if I talk about. So when I started business working in India, doing Indian transactions, but once we started working across the world,
multi-country,
so we realized that we, of course, sitting in India and having a bank account in India or company registered in India, we will not be able to do or scale our business. So eventually, to figure it out, we set up a company in Dubai now.
Yes, absolutely.
So when we did a company in Dubai, as you mentioned, that this technology is not restricting
at all.
Sending money from Dubai to UK
Anywhere to anywhere.
or any across the
Anywhere
world.
to anywhere.
Yeah, it's just one click.
It's happening. Yes.
After moving to Dubai or shifting our or setting up a company in Dubai, we realized it's very easy.
It's very easy.
And we realized
seamless.
And we came to know about the taxation of the country as well.
Absolutely.
And now, if I talk about myself, I don't want to do a business in India, because of taxation, because of legalities, because of
money transferring,
transactions, So I'm sure it will impact my country as well, economy of my country, making me realize that it's not easy to set up a company.
If you look into credit cards, on the other hand, credit cards are actually global. So if you get a credit card in, again, ICICI dollar credit card, you take that credit card, come to London, you do a transaction, it happens. So it's only from your bank account, it's not happening. But credit card, then again, dollars are happening. So
Yeah.
it's not a real technology issue, it's a legality issue, it's the actually regulatory issues.
Yeah.
So I
So
think,
what is the reason
yeah,
of these
I think
regulatory?
because we have both of our country has a huge population. So if you multiply your population with the overall dollar reserve you have,
Right.
so our government thinks make it open, if I make it open, then maybe my citizens, when they go abroad, they will withdraw too much money. But it's actually not the case. If it's free float,
Yeah.
I don't think if it's happening in credit card, it should happen in ATM. So, but I think slowly government is coming in, both, especially India is, I think, way ahead. Technology terms, definitely India is fantastic. So I think it won't be a bar in future. Then again, we have technology like Western Union in
Yeah.
place in Bangladesh. Whether you go to a small city in Bangladesh, they have that yellow sign
Yeah.
where you can actually draw or
Yeah.
send money, especially receive money.
Yeah.
So sending money from abroad to Bangladesh is not an issue, but if you want to send $10 from a consumer point of view to a friend of yours in US,
Yeah.
that's where the problem is.
That's a challenge.
That's a
So,
challenge.
if I talk about my country, specifically India,
Right.
I've seen a drastic change after the COVID,
Yes.
going into digitalization. So earlier people were
Yes.
not aware about Google
Right.
Pay,
Right.
Paytm, or
Yeah.
Phone Pay. We have a lot of apps available
Yes.
in India.
Right.
How you see this digitalization
Yeah.
is going to impact or create, something good for our economies?
I think very, 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 very interesting question. I think digital transactions will actually create a gig economy. It's happening. So where Paytm is now a household name, which wasn't there 6 years back.
Absolutely.
Even in Bangladesh, Paytm has another under different branding called Nagad,
Okay.
and they became a unicorn in 3 years. So
That's a venture of Paytm only.
yeah, that's a venture of, but they don't control the whole stake, but a big stake is there.
great.
So it's called Nagad. Nagad means cash. So, but they have another company called bKash, which is actually Bill Gates investment is there. They're number one MFS company where you actually send money anywhere in the country utilizing your mobile phone. So it's a digital banking. Yeah. So this is coming. The wave is coming. I think now cross-border issue will not stay for too long. Already people are talking about PayPal because Bangladesh and India has a lot of people who are freelancers. Sitting in India, they're doing a lot of work in US, but getting paid from US. So if you have a PayPal account, you get the money in few seconds. Otherwise, you have to wait again to bank like HDFC. The money comes, you go physically and draw the money. So those opportunities and
Understanding
are still there.
understanding a point of view of taxation.
Yeah.
So when we talk about digitalization is happening,
Right.
so all the transactions are going to be monitored, or government is already monitoring it.
Yeah.
Still, we don't have taxpayers in our countries.
Yes. So if you have actually digital transaction in place, government point of view is better because every transactions are recorded.
Yeah.
So, when I pay cash to you, and
There's no record.
There's no record.
Yeah.
So even both in government in India, also in Bangladesh are eyeing digital money, digital banking mostly.
But do you
So
think that will increase our revenue in terms of
I think-
taxation?
Yeah, both taxation at the same time, seamless of transaction. So when you do more transactions seamlessly, the economy goes bigger because money is no good sitting in your pocket.
Absolutely.
Right?
Rotation should
if
be
cash stays in our pocket, it has no value.
Yeah.
But if the money is on the circulation, if it's on a bank, so I can use that same money 20 times, same day, not maybe me, but you or the other users. Then actually it's creating an economic impact. So further taxation, VAT itself can create VAT and tax. So more transaction means more money to the government. Also, more it's helping the economy because it's if you need money 3 in the morning, that means it's an economic support you need, right? So if that money is available to you, not in somebody else's pocket, then actually it's actually playing a pivotal positive role in the economy. So definitely digital transformation will help our economy also to grow.
Right. So when I asked you what is Flora, you simply explained it's like an Infosys.
Yes, it's a Infosys of Bangladesh. Yes.
Infosys of Bangladesh.
Yes.
How you see your brand or inspiration for your brand?
Yeah, I think we are now homegrown. Also, we started as a banking technology. 2 years back, we done an interesting project called e-passport. We have a German partner. So with them, we sold 30 million passports to the country. Also, we create a part of the digital physical passport also in Bangladesh with the German technology. So that's creating a huge impact. The project itself was close to $700 million plus. So these are something very, and digital passport gives you a specific strength to travel
Absolutely.
faster globally. The passport has more, more information on you, which is on the chip. So whether you are in Europe or US, they actually know who you are. You cannot actually do a facelifting or anything on the passport itself because there's a chip behind and where there's a data is already embedded.
Right.
So so we started with banking transactions, but now we are getting into identification
Right.
and other products which actually helping the consumer market in the country. At the same time, we've been approached by some large venture capitalists to actually take us over fully to get the product IP probably available in Western world. So we are not willing to sell the whole thing, but would I definitely to expand globally,
Right.
especially in UK, England, US, and maybe African market.
Yeah,
And grow.
that's a big market, I
Because
believe.
US itself has 6,700 banks.
Yes.
So it's a lot larger opportunity. And interestingly, not many Indian or Bangladeshi CBS companies are there. So there's a huge opportunity. I'm a dual citizen, US and Bangladesh. So I see a lot of opportunities in the banking sector for Flora in US as well.
So understanding for layman, if I want to understand credit card, that plays a very important role. And I guess I have read somewhere, I may be wrong. Credit cards transactions are almost 67 to 68% across the world.
Yes.
So it's growing every day.
Yes, it's
It's
growing
growing on a very faster scale. So how you see as a credit card, and what do you think credit card? Why credit card?
Actually, credit card is again, getting a large loan or any loan through a bank is, it's, each time you apply, there's a time gap. But credit card is a loan where they give you a limit, right? So each time you do a transaction, then you pay it off, then again you're ready to get another loan as far as the the balance is there.
Yeah.
So this gives you actually opportunity to do more with lesser resources. It's actually it's a loan product which is in your pocket. So every time, suppose your ATM card has no balance, you have a credit card, you can still do a transaction.
But don't you think that spoils?
And not necessarily. I mean, sometimes when initially when the user comes in, they don't have an understanding of credit or credit scoring.
Yeah.
They probably sometimes misuse it.
Yeah.
But in the long run, even when we were students in college in US, we all used to have $3,000, $4,000 continual debt. I'm sure maybe it happened to you while you were in college.
Definitely.
So then when we got out, we tried to pay it off after we got the first job, right? So it's very, but interestingly, as a student, whether you're a sophomore or a junior, you actually started buying things which you cannot afford. So it's actually creating positive impact on the economy in US. And same thing will happen in India. And it's already happening in India.
But that sometimes create bad debt as well for the banking.
That's why if you see the credit card APR is higher than bank loans. Bank loan is usually 7 to 12%,
8% or
highest.
12%,
It never goes to double digit, but somewhere. But credit cards is always around 20% plus. So because of bad debt, they incorporate that high level risk in the margin. So even though there's a higher bad debt, in the long run, credit card business is very, very, very profitable.
Right. So when you see as a bank, where of course banking happens, all the transactions happen,
Right.
and I'm sure for banks specifically, the earning source is just loans.
Yeah, that's the conventional one. But as we were talking about digital transformation, digital banking, so future like Nagad, Paytm, bKash in Bangladesh, they're the largest MFS. These guys making money on transactions. They don't give loans. So the future of banking, once it's a digital, once everyone has a bank in your pocket or in mobile, then there'll be another economic impact which will be transactional based. So whether you just do a loan or do any debit credit transactions, you'll be actually charged and the banks will make additional money on the transaction itself. So the history of Paytm, bKash, Nagad, Western Union will actually come into the banking world too as a daily business opportunity.
Even I guess Paytm also started banking in India as well.
So vice versa, But
So-
I think the banks also will get into Paytm kind of business.
Right.
So because the transactions are going higher and higher. And not too many, if you look into the Gen Z, they don't want to go to a physical bank.
Yeah.
From starting up their own account to daily usage, they just want their mobile.
Since 11 years, I guess
And
I've been to bank for
how
twice
many
or
times?
thrice.
Yeah. Even for corporate banks, we
Yeah.
don't go. So as you said, after COVID, this is another opportunity.
Yeah.
Digital transformation, digital banking is the future.
Yeah.
And that's where Flora Bank is also. We are putting in a lot of tech, and we feel that we'll be definitely a front runner in that.
So every bank which owns a lot of money
Yeah.
of people,
Yes.
do you think, or I'm sure you must be having a data about the same.
Yeah.
Every bank is profitable, or it make losses as well.
Once you have a large client base, chances of being, if you know how to do the transactions right, if you know how to do the loans right, then chances of making more money is actually greater. And it's happening. So every bank who are matured have a large client base. I can give an example of HDFC or
Yeah.
ICICI or US banks. Look at their client base, they're huge. They are not a small bank. They have huge amount of clients. Some of them may be close to hundreds of million clients.
Definitely.
So even if you do #1 transaction or #1 transaction on a fee on a daily basis, you can, or the loans,
Yeah.
So the opportunity of making much more money. So it's happening to Wells Fargo, Lloyds Bank, HSBC, the perks.
Right.
So bigger banks makes bigger money. More
So
money.
e-commerce is booming now across
Yes.
the world, and
Right.
again, one is digital payments, one is banking, and third one is payment gateways.
Yes.
So like in India, back in India, we have a payment gateway known as Razorpay,
Razorpay.
or there are a lot of Stripe,
Yeah.
lot of other payment
Stripe,
gateways
yes.
are there.
Right.
How you see banking, digital payments, and payment gateways?
Yeah.
So
I
this is the
think
ecosystem which we are building.
the ecosystem will have to coexist.
Yeah.
And it's, as you said, payment gateway is becoming bigger and bigger because more and more, not just banking,
Yeah.
we are also do digital transaction even for commerce, right?
Yeah.
I want to buy a coffee mug. I don't want to go to a store anymore. I just go online,
Absolutely.
buy it, it comes to me. So the entire economy is, then the payment gateway, banks, credit cards, all come in place together.
My question is, like, payment gateways charge very high fees.
Right.
Let's suppose if I talk about payment gateway like we use,
Right.
if we are getting 1 lakh rupees in INR, we have to pay at least a fees of 4 to 5%. That is 4,000 to
pretty high
5,000.
in
That's
this
pretty high.
Very high.
Do you think government should impose some regulatory on this as well?
I think one is government, and if the competition is very large, if it's not a monopoly, it's a real competition, then competition itself will drive the prices down. Another thing is transactions. Today, e-payment, e-gateways are still, if you look at the total commerce versus e-commerce is probably 10% of the total economy of the business, right?
Yeah.
So more and more e-commerce will grow.
Right.
So then payment gateway will get more transactions. So they will also have to reduce their transaction cost charges. Otherwise, other players will come in and take over their business.
So like you own you are like a backbone of a banking.
Right.
So have you ever thought of coming up with your own banks?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very good question. Since we have a huge name now, we don't want to get into a conventional bank. We don't want to have a store, a physical brick-and-mortar branches. But if it's come to completely digital banking,
Yes.
we'd be very, very interested to come
Like
in because
Dubai
we have
has a lot of digital banks.
Yes, and people are saying you don't make money easily on digital bank, but since we understand, we come from that part of the world, from the tech world, so we feel given us the opportunity, we'll be definitely doing well, not only in Bangladesh, globally also.
Right. So working in this sector, if I talk about the startup is booming across the world these days.
Right.
So what are the options or possibilities or ideas do you think a startup should start implementing in terms of bank? Anyone cannot open the bank.
No.
But related to banking, there are a lot of streams which can be opened up.
Very good question. It's what you're talking about is fintech.
Yeah, it's fintech.
So as I said, Paytm is not a bank. It's a completely new idea 3 young guys came up with. They said, I want to send money to my friend, and that's it. I don't need a bank.
Right.
So this is a service, right? Given, sending money to any. It's like C2C business.
Yeah.
And so in even for loans, even future will come where there'll be like a, when you buy stock market, you buy shares, right? So it's a bidding, right?
Yeah.
So who pays more gets the share.
Yeah.
So even in loan, there'll be a bidding opportunity, and it'll be like consumer to consumer loan. There'll be no banks in place. I have 500 taka at night. You want to say I'm looking for 500 taka. So it's called peer-to-peer loan.
Yeah.
So it could be a new marketplace.
Yeah.
So I see that Ashke is looking for 500 taka. So I, as a as a consumer, I'll say, I'll charge you 3 taka for the loan for 10 days.
Like locally.
Yeah. So it's a peer-to-peer. So it's a network with lots of users, just like Facebook users. So we are all Indian, and there'll be a circulation going on that there's a loan someone wants to take. So there'll be a scoring. So you'll check his transaction, you'll check his creditworthiness. Then you'll bid that I will give you the loan with 2% for 3 days. Then there will be one of your other friend will compete. He'll say maybe 2.5%. So then maybe at the same time, if you see the cheaper, so you will choose who to take the loan, and you take it, and 3 days you pay it off.
Like people
so it's not a convention, right?
Yeah.
It's actually, I am giving you a loan, and maybe a bank is just there to do the transactions for you. So he's like a custodian. So that's a new kind of business. It's not there yet. It's called peer-to-peer loan. So things like this will come in. So as a startup, as we speaking, somebody can take this idea, start the project, and maybe before you know, maybe in a year, they'll be a billionaire. Because that opportunity is actually, you know why?
Used to happen on
I'll give you a real life example.
Yeah.
It's called Howla. In our countries,
exactly.
a driver gets stuck in 3 morning, his kids are sick, he needs to go to hospital. So he said, he comes to either his boss or a friend, say, can you lend me 500 taka?
Yeah.
So informal lending, right? They're not going to a bank. So actually it's peer. So he's going to a peer, asking for a loan. And if he has the money, he said, okay, I'm giving you 500 taka, but you have to give me 600 tomorrow.
Yeah.
So he's taking the loan, get the service done, and paying it back. So it's already there, but there's no digitalization.
Very interesting.
It's by verbal. So what I'm talking about, the whole thing, putting on a technology, and that could be a new business.
I guess unconventionally, people
It's called peer-to-peer loan.
People used to do kind of financing, giving finance, but that is not legal.
No, it's not legal.
Yeah, it's
not legal. But people are doing it though, right? It's happening.
Absolutely.
You cannot really stop. 3 in the
someone
morning,
makes it legal,
if I
of
go
course.
to you, I say, well, friend, I'm stuck, can you loan me? And it's happening.
Yeah.
Even in how many times in college or in real life, I've taken loans from my dad.
Why it's
or
not
mom.
legal? If suppose I want to give you
But
money.
it doesn't matter, it's not legal or not, but it's happening.
Yeah, it's happening.
So no way you can stop it, right? Like crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Crowdfunding, you don't need to go to bank, right?
Yeah.
Crowd is funding you. So same thing, it's called crowd loans.
Yeah.
So it will become, whoever starts it will say, hey, I don't need. But then again, regulator will come in.
Yeah, that's why
At the matter of time, when you have like a large transaction, a regulator will obviously come in and say, okay, I will regulate you in a certain way. But I think technology is such a thing. When internet started, I don't think regulation started. Internet started, then regulation started, right?
But I want to understand why government don't call it legal. If suppose I want to give money to you and I want to earn something out of it, what is the problem in this?
Yeah, actually, he stops when, if you're a bank, then you need a license, right? But if you actually want to give me a loan, who's stopping you? Actually, even today, government is not stopping us.
Yeah.
Informal loans. No, it's not. They're not. They're not. There's no law said a friend cannot lend a friend. Yeah, until it is official.
There's not any law, but there's no any savory law as well.
Savory law also.
If
it's
someone is
happening
not giving money back.
What I'm saying is informal, but the transaction size, if you really look into it, it's also huge.
But do you think
So that's another digital business
government
opportunity.
can give regulatory for the same? If
I
let's
think
suppose I want to start this business.
Then you create a law, you create some rules and go to a bank, go to central bank and say, I want to operate this, can you give me a license? I think they will. Each new thing always has a starting point, right? But I don't think they can stop or they will stop.
Yeah. And one more thing, which I guess everyone has a question about it. Why there's a restriction of banking below 18?
Right. Yeah, I think that should go. That's no point. I mean, kids used to do banking.
Absolutely.
Even parents like us probably giving our credit cards to our kids.
Exactly.
Right? Because sometimes they need some emergency money or ATM access. So I think that regulatory should change.
Right.
And they will change. And you can buy Apple Card.
Yeah.
Who's stopping you?
Exactly.
Right? Even if your kid,
for example,
just like internet.
For example, a lot of transactions can be involved with kids as well. Like we work with schools a lot.
Right.
We work schools across the world.
Yes.
And I've seen this thing precisely. There are canteens in schools. Still, cash transactions are happening there because kids are not allowed to
use the cards. But I think in US it's no more.
Exactly.
I don't think US there's no more law that you have to be 18 to open a bank account. I can be wrong, but I don't think it's there.
No, it's allowed in US.
It's allowed.
Yeah, it's allowed in US.
So whatever allowed in Western world will automatically come into
But why we follow only pattern of US?
I know.
We have our own brains as well.
True,
right?
true. Of course. I fully agree.
How you see AI in terms of banking, or do you think AI will create any impact on Flora as well in future,
I
or
think
you're upgrading yourself with AI?
especially when you do see transactions are growing, right? Whether
Yeah.
when we started, our banks probably used to have like 10,000 transactions a day. Most of our clients now, most of my banks probably do to 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 transactions a day within their client base. So where AI comes in, so many transactions. So I'm giving you just one example. So many transactions happening, right? So we need to analyze whether there is any anti-money laundering or some scrupulousness activity or some transactions which are not legally right.
Yeah.
So how do you check so many transactions? If
Yeah.
you multiply 20 into 100 banks, 20,000 into 100 banks is
Yeah.
that's millions of
Lot of
transactions
transactions.
happening as we speak. And if you put in all the countries together,
Yeah.
it's billions, right?
Like
So
I was
it-
listening one podcast where
yeah,
Paytm founder Vijay Shekhar Sharma was saying
yes.
every second we have one transaction.
Every second we transact. Yeah. So that's our future. And maybe in next 5 years, you will say every 1 seconds we have 500 transactions.
Yeah.
It may happen. It's not impossible, right? Because populations are growing, digital transactions are growing. So then AI comes in. How do we analyze these transactions? No way physically
Possible.
by manually it's possible. So you have to put in enough intelligence in the transaction so that each transactions are analyzed by an artificial intelligence, whether we can put in some points to what are the elements we look into a transaction, but still with that AI in place we can actually we look into billions of transactions a day in terms of point of view of governments or bank alone or even some large entity.
If we go back 20 years, all the transactions, just from my understanding,
Yes.
all the transactions used to monitor manually.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when I started back in 90s in Bangladesh, the first client, Janata Bank, they used to have, there was no digital banking, there was no banking software. So they had manual ledgers, big ledgers, this thick, 500 pages. Each client used to have like 5 pages. So day one, what is the transaction? It's all handwritten. So that's how we started. So first we converted those ledgers to electronic ledgers.
So you have seen the
Yes.
transition
So
from
that transformation we have seen in our own eyes. It's unbelievable to talk about, but back in 90s, it was there in Bangladesh. Today, no more. Today, no more because Flora played a pivotal role. We even went in there, sent our, in a remote plant, and they were not, those were actually offline banking. Branches were not connected because there was no internet, no high-speed network. So each branch has its own individual customer ledger. So once we started getting the software, we used to send our guys key in the ledgers, turn it to a digital data, then upload to our banking software. So we have seen that transformation. And nowadays, no bank, if I get a license today, day one, it's only CBS, computer, Flora Bank CBS or, Infosys software comes in. And day one, it's digitalized. So there's no manual process anymore.
Right. When you are into system, I'm sure you must have seen the flaws as well
Yes,
of
of
banking.
course.
So what are the flaws which you think is curable or
Yes,
can be
yeah.
cured, but
Yeah.
government or banking system is not taking care of it?
Yeah, actually, any transactions, at the end of the day, there's some manual intervention, right? People actually keen when you walk into a client, when you want to go to a bank, want to withdraw $1,000 check. So you actually give the physical check, the guy looks into it, types in the figure, or probably scans it, but still types in your name. And so there's some manual intervention, right? So if you do thousands of those, there's actually a chances of at least 0.003% error. So what we do, what the banking software does, each transactions have actually audit trail.
Right.
So it actually has a transaction ledger. So automatically day end they check all the transactions and see whether it manually for all the it's actually telling the balancing is happened. So there's an audit trail inside. So any point of time, a manager or a higher guy can actually look into each transaction. They can see what time the transaction happened, what was the amount, which branch, which location, which teller machine, which even the computer. So today, transactions, we don't even look into the user level. We also look into the MAC address of the machine so that we understand that it's not done through a hacker from outside of the world.
So there must be red flags in
Yes,
software
there are
as well,
flags.
right?
Yes.
So where you can map
Plus,
which transaction
plus
is
suppose
legal.
your user, Akshay is a user who has a limit to $50,000 transaction. So if a $60,000 transaction happens, there's another higher level user actually authorizes it. It's called maker checker. So these are these are digitalized benefits of digital transactions.
Right.
So there are some lot of user level security gets imposed, which you don't see as a hacker. It's inbuilt in the system.
Right.
So if you want to hack $70,000, automatically be some system may stop it automatically because no one guy can actually
Do that transaction.
do that transaction if it's defined by the bank policy. So
Understood.
it's a policy of a bank. It's not a policy of the technology. So you can define those today
Right.
in the transactions.
So I want to understand the hierarchy of banking. So, for example, let's suppose India. When we talk about there's RBI, Reserve Bank of India.
Of course.
So that is the curator of
Right. All
the
transactions, all
transactions.
compliances, reporting.
And then there are private banks and there are government banks.
Yeah.
Why privatization and government
Okay,
banks,
private banks.
public banks?
See, more and more, there's, if you see 5 public banks now, you'll see 50 private banks in most of the countries. Public banks are there when it started, right? But now, public banks are not growing at all. No new license are given, but privates and private. But then again, we both have, especially in our countries, we still have public banks.
Yeah.
Whereas in US, I don't think
There's
there's
no
any
public
public
bank.
banks.
Yeah.
So I think those are the dinosaurs. So they will also, and I don't think most of the public banks are doing well globally, except for maybe some in India and some in Bangladesh, because when you're a public bank, you get a lot of public money, right?
Yeah.
When you put your money to a National Board of Revenue or the Revenue Board of India, the big check of amount, the
It's
budget
kind of
money.
a corporate culture. They don't give money
So
to
they don't
anyone
give
else.
it to
Yeah.
private. The public entity wants to keep the money in the public banks because of, I think, also
Safety,
like the army
security.
banks. In Bangladesh, we have army banks
Yeah.
which are owned by the army. So also sometimes in railway we may have their own banking.
Right.
So that's why they still have some public banks. But then again, I think they're becoming if they don't actually deploy state-of-the-art technology, they will not be sustained. It's not a sustainable case for them in the future. Yeah.
So I keep, thinking of one question in my
Yes.
whole life. You're the right person to answer that
you.
question. When I say there's a currency printing which happens across the world,
Right.
and RBI decides to print the currency,
Yes.
then why is there any control? And if yes, who is controlling that power?
Okay. So any currency, it's actually currency, these are called security papers.
Yeah.
Even for passports, I know a lot because passports are part of the pages are actually security papers.
Yeah.
So any security papers, like be it the banknote or the passport or your ID card. So there are a lot of elements which you see in naked eye, which you don't see. There are probably a infrared, blue
infrared,
chips,
yeah.
some kind of special markers can see.
Yeah.
So there are in your notes, there are a lot of
Different
special,
inks,
different, multiple kind of inks.
Yeah.
So different, at least 30 to 40 security measures,
Yeah.
which is not open to normal public. So these are one of the controlling checks. So public cannot actually print it because there's security printing, and each banknotes in each country, the regulator, especially central RBI in India's case or Bangladesh Bank in Bangladesh's case, they actually do the design with the security vendor who actually provides the banknotes.
Right.
And mostly these are banknotes are usually done by Germans, US, large companies. It's not, they don't go to a small print shop and say, hey, print me a banknote. So that again, and also the process of printing, but the paper itself has special features.
But who controls how much
So
money
usually,
you can print and
usually it's
how
a
it
central
works?
bank, central bank of the bank, central bank of any country.
Any country.
So in India, it's of course the RBI, Reserve Bank of
So if
India.
RBI wants to,
Yeah, they can print, and even the economy is slow, and then there's a money crunch, but they may print extra money to keep the economy in float. But inflation happens. That's an economic question. It's an economic question.
Yeah.
But then again, they do. I mean, we know we cannot talk about it in public, but time and time, public institutions print money to actually generate a better economy. Sometimes they have to. Nothing we can do about it.
but there's no
But
controlling power.
they do a control because there are a lot of large economists who works for any central bank.
Absolutely.
Like usually the governor. They understand what it takes to print money, how we may cost the economy if they print more money than required. So I'm sure there is a analytical tool they use to actually control the money flow. It's a money market.
Right.
Yeah.
So money laundering,
Yeah.
I want to understand from you.
Yes.
In local language, we call it hawala.
Yeah, Hawala. Yeah.
So where we can send money to some other
Right.
country, and
Yes.
this is happening across the world.
It's happening.
Everyone
Yeah.
knows about it.
Yes.
I was listening to one of the podcasts of someone from RBI, very senior person. He mentioned that there is no law in our country as well,
Right.
to control this money laundering. That's why it's happening.
Yes, yes.
There's no law against it.
Today, a lot of processes are coming in our software. It's called AML, anti-money laundering. So by transaction, they can probably mark that this transaction doesn't look right. So what is money laundering? We have to understand. Suppose a guy is making a lot of money in Bangladesh. He doesn't want to keep all the money in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
He makes a lot, maybe
To save
income
tax, to
millions.
whatever
Yeah,
reason.
whatever. Even after tax, he has a lot of money. He doesn't want to keep because he's not secure. He doesn't feel secure about his country. Sometimes it's a political risk. People migrate.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's business risk. So they try to send the money somehow to an offshore bank, maybe Dubai, Singapore. So that is money laundering. Because that money, you're just taking it as a cash, calling one of your friend in Dubai, he said, giving some guy in Bangladesh or India, he takes the money and somehow it crosses border. Actually, how it happens is we have a lot of laborers, either in Bangladesh, Bangladeshi laborers working in Dubai, or Indian laborers working in Dubai. So they need to send money. And so once they send the money in normal banking channel, they get, say, rupees, what's the rupee dollar rate now?
It's 92.
90. So they probably get 92 when you send officially. But in Howla market, you sell it off. So you actually sell your money
94,
to, you say, a guy in Dubai will say, I'll give you 93. And I'll send it to Dhaka, Bangladesh. Just give me the UAE. I'll take care of the sending and all this. And then his wife calls on a mobile. Yeah, I got the money at a 93 rate or in a higher rate. So that is Howla. And if you multiply by larger transactions, so that's how it happens. That's the money. That's the way of getting it done. Once you have millions of workers, labor workers, blue collar workers in any given country, they need to send tons of money. Bangladesh itself sends about $20 billion. India, I think over $100 billion. Money comes in remittance. That's I'm talking about legal money through the channel. But I'm sure if it's 100 billion, there's at least 10 billion happens outside the network.
More than
so
10
that
billion,
is
actually.
that is Howla, that is actually AML, that is the anti-money laundering. So they have both needs. Some guy need to send the money and get better rates in your country, and some guys want to send his taka or rupee and to keep it safe it in either Dubai or US or wherever they want to.
Right.
So that's why the need for Howla is happening and we cannot stop it.
Right.
So if we keep it, but in US it doesn't happen because US is a free float. I can send any amount of money anywhere. There's no regulation. So they don't need to have an Howla.
Right.
So,
companies like Flora, of course, banking is dependent on Flora in Bangladesh.
Yeah, we are the largest number one.
So whatever scams are happened,
Right.
it happens because of flaws in banking or flaws in our software.
See, so once you cash the money, then the cash is yours, right? So people usually do Howla.
No, online scams are happening these days.
Online scams.
If someone is someone got access of my card and withdraw money.
So those are today Bangladesh still limited from whoever, but online scamming, like for taking actually your money away from your account, is near impossible today. But maybe credit cards, sometimes they do identity theft.
Yeah.
And especially when COVID happened, a lot of people had to do digital transactions, and especially elderly people, they didn't know. So people call and said, Madam, your number is there, but I will give you 10 taka, but you have to give the code. Then there's a special credit waiting for you, or 200 taka. But once you give you a pin, we can send the money. So she also, 200 taka coming, so they give a pin away. Then, they take care of it. So especially Paytm kind of business, or sometimes when you get your,
scams
your
during
ATM,
COVID,
ATM, if you know the ATM numbers
Yeah.
and get the ATM physically somehow, they can steal your money. So those are happening, but not in large size, but it's happening.
But where's the fault?
Fault is, I think, people are, education is number one. So elderly people, we need to say, do not share any PIN code or identification numbers through a phone.
Yeah.
Never.
I guess
Yeah. So those are now becoming the
that's
standards.
education is very important. Of course,
Yes,
I want to come to this question.
Yeah.
Before we go ahead. So the question is why there is no education on banking in schools?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the faster we can allow them to do banking in schools, then educate them also, it's better. Yeah. Yeah.
And one more question I want to understand before we end this podcast that
Yes.
will stuck in my mind. Everything happened digitally now,
Right.
but one thing is still physical in banking. That is check.
Check. Yes. Yeah.
So can't we do check as well in physical
I
format
think
or
OCR
digital
technology is
format?
coming in. You can probably also, you may not have to go to, but there are the corporate checks. You don't have to physically go to banks. You can just send it through a
Email.
yeah, email. But it's not still there digitally.
But it's
but
still
it
difficult.
should come. Yeah,
It's still
It's
difficult.
still difficult. You're right. You're right. So that's a new technology. We can definitely look into it, and maybe it's a business case too. Thanks for the idea.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So I hope you're having a good time. So
Yeah, definitely.